Okay, hello and welcome everybody. This is going to be a very exciting, I'll just get Renee to shut my door. This is going to be a very exciting hour. Hopefully everyone has used the Zoom webinars before. So we're going to be having question and answers at the end so that you'll all get a chance to answer questions. Sorry, this is falling out of my ear. Hopefully everyone can hear me, and we're going to be using the question and answers box at the top, and but I'll get people to have conversations and talk, and if they've got any questions at the end. So I'm sure there'll be lots of questions. So welcome everyone, and I have got a lot to go through, so I will get going. And if you can write your questions down. Now, I got Renee to send this out to you beforehand, so hopefully everybody has got it. If I look here at the questions, there's also a chat line. If you put something in chat, everybody can see, or just a question and answer will go to me. So has everybody got this? I'm wanting people to go through this as we go. So hopefully everybody has got this emailed to them. Can I just have a show of those? Yep. We've got a couple of people who've said yes. So if you can open it up or have it there so you can scribble on it. Yes. Yep. That's great. Thank you very much for that. So without further ado, we will get started. So those of you that don't know me, I'm just navigating my way around here. Yep. Those of you that don't know me, I know most of you on the call. I'll give a quick 1-minute intro. I've been coaching for over 10 years. I've won various awards through business coaching and through business planning. I've represented Australia through triathlon a few times, and Commitment is my middle name. I've been married to my lovely husband David for over 30 years. I've built multiple businesses from scratch, so I love what it takes to build a business, and it's a process. And I have been honoured to be nominated one of WA's most inspirational women, and my story was published in a book. So that's pretty much it. I'm also the master licensee of Engage and Grow, which is an engagement program getting people more engaged in their workplace. So that's me. What I'm wanting to get out of today, the goal of today, is to be very clear of what are your business objectives that you're wanting to get achieved in your business, and then look at saying how we're going to increase these profits in our business and meet our objectives. I'm going to give you some strategies and send you some handouts afterwards. Also looking at your time and how you can manage your time a lot more efficient, and also understanding, what else can you do to motivate your team. And I know one of the questions that I got earlier was, what happens when you've got a business that you're not actually working in anymore, and how do we motivate those people when you're not actually there? Fantastic question. And, it brings me back to the time when, when I was, told that I was very ill, and my husband and I were running a business at the time, and we decided to take a year off and backpack the world with the kids. I was, sadly given 5 years to live, and we decided that our family was more important. Now, I was in a very fortunate situation that I had a manager and a team that loved us to bits. So I was actually able to live the dream for 99 and backpack the world for a year with our little 5 and 9-year-old and homeschool them whilst the business was still providing us an income and still successfully operating. So I know exactly firsthand what has to happen to get it to that stage, and I'll go through a lot of them today. So that's the goal for today. I wanted to bring your attention, first of all, to where your mindset actually is in relation to your business and in relation to all your goals, because it all starts with here in our mind. It starts with an idea. So the business had to start with an idea first, and then wherever you've gone on the path has got you to where you are today. So looking at that mind and how you actually how you see things. Are you of the mindset where you're looking at saying, okay, I've got full ownership, I'm fully responsible for my outcomes, and you know, I've got that responsibility and ownership to go forward? Or is the mindset of, it's a bad time, and, you know, all my competitors are screaming louder than me, and, oh, I've got kids, I can't do it, or whatever the challenges are. So what I'm wanting to set you up from the start of this webinar and from your whole business life, it's about you creating your success. And it's imperative to have that successful mindset from the start. So we're looking for, you know, reasons of why we can do this and how we can do this, not excuses and blaming of why it's not working. So I just wanted to bring that up straight away, because your mindset drives everything. It drives your relationships, it drives your business, it drives your goals, your ideals, your identity. And so we need to make sure that our mindset is strong from the start, and that we're taking full ownership. This is a mentality we're looking for, victim mentality opposed to being a victim. And I'm sure we've all met people before that are, you know, have that victim mentality, and we don't want that. We want to work with victors. So as I go through what it entails to have a business that can be working for you instead of you working for the business, there is no difference to this process than learning a process of what it takes to learn how to be a triathlete or learn how to build a house. There is actually these consequential steps that we have to go through with anything that we learn that's new, and all of us are going to be at different stages at all different parts of our business. So we first start off with the unconscious incompetent. So we don't know what we don't know. So in what we go through today, there'll be parts of it that you'll know about, parts of it that you've never heard about. So we need to be clear on, okay, what is it? What is it that we don't know that we don't know? So we'll learn about things that we don't know about. Just the same as a baby, when, you know, you have a newborn baby, it doesn't know that it doesn't know how to drive a car. Well, there's a lot of stuff that you don't know about with business. So then we go to the conscious incompetent. So then we're saying, okay, well, there's a lot of stuff now that I know that I don't know about. And exactly using the analogy of a baby, when it gets to 3 or 4, it knows it can't drive a car. So it's got to that knowing stage. So the next level here is when we get to conscious competent. So that's when we know how to do it, but we have to really think about it. So if you're an L-plater driver, they've got to the conscious competent level because they know how to drive a car, but they have to really think about it. And that's where we're starting to learn how to do it, and we're starting to follow the process. The last area here is the unconscious competent. That's when it's second nature. That's when we drive our car to work and we just don't know how we got there because we're just in automatic pilot mode. So this is the area that can sometimes be the danger zone because we know how to do it so well that we forget little things. You know, as a triathlete of 20 years, I'll never forget doing an Ironman race. I've done it so many times, and I'm swimming along doing my swim, and I remember thinking, I've left my drink bottles back at the house. Now, I was in the conscious competent level. I didn't have a checklist. I'd done it so many times, I just knew how to do it. And so that's when it can get dangerous. That's when you go back to the beginning again. So we're wanting to say, don't be harsh on yourself. As we go through any learning process, you have to start off at you don't know what you don't know. You have to get to the area of finding out there's a lot of stuff I don't know. Wow, okay, what's going to give me the best bang for my buck in developing my learning and knowledge in this area? And then we get to the conscious competent. Then we start to get clunky at it, and then we start to know how to do it. So it's important not to be too harsh and just to be aware of what's going to work for you and where you're going to focus your learning. Don't do too much. So this is a business, a traditional business. So most people have, and I'm looking to the right because I've got my slides here on the right, that's why. Most people have their business and they're in the center of it. And everything is running around them and is focused on them and how they're actually, it's like almost they're directing traffic. And I remember my husband used to say, oh, I'm going to battle, because he'd be, you know, having challenges with debtors and suppliers and importing and all kinds of challenges. So you're in the middle of it. So what we're wanting to do is look at saying, all right, how can we get a business to run like this so that you are on the outside, so that the operations run themselves, the sales and marketing run themselves, the admin runs itself. And yes, you are able to step away from the business and have the business run, function and perform profitably without you. So that's what I'm wanting to look at today, is what has to happen for you to get to that stage, to be like that. The definition that we often say is a commercial profitable enterprise that can work without you. Otherwise, it's just a job, and it's got to be able to work without you. That's why some people, they get this, their business to be able to perform without them, and then they can go and replicate it, and they might franchise or something like that. So when we look at what we go through in a business, there is a cash flow ladder, and it starts when we're a child, when we're a uni student, or when we're at college and we first start to get money. So that my first job was Kentucky Fried Chicken when I was about 14 years old. So we start off as a student at the cash flow ladder, and we might be doing a part-time job or something like that, or we're just starting to learn. So then our next job here we get is we're an employee. We might be working for someone, you know, as a full-time job, and then we're getting, you know, a regular income from that. Then the next level up that we might go to is we might become self-employed. And that's when we're giving ourselves a lot more opportunity to earn more money. From self-employed, then we might go to become a manager. So the difference between self-employed and a manager is generally, with this definition in the cash flow ladder, self-employed is someone who just works for themselves and might only have one apprentice or one person working for them. So they're pretty much self-employed. The business is running around based on their efforts. Opposed to a manager, when you've got a whole team and that you're managing a whole team. You're not actually in operations. You're not doing the job anymore. You have somebody else that's doing operations, so that you're managing the whole process of the business that's working. Then the next level, we go onto the top level here above the manager. Now there's a line here because there's a distinct difference between this as far as cash flow. The next level up is when you become a business owner. So that's when you can step away and the business can work without you. That's when you've got a manager that's running the business for you, and you might have multiple businesses so that you're investing in different businesses. And then the next level up is when you're an investor. So when you're an investor, this is not only investing in business, this might be investing in lots of other things as well. You might have, you might be a silent partner in one business, you might have property in another business, you might be, putting, different diversity in your investing. And then the top level up here is an entrepreneur. This is when you have people coming to you with ideas. This is when you're the Richard Bransons of the world. So what most people do is they get stuck at this self-employed level, and if they really work hard at their business education, they get up to the manager level, and not that many people get up above the line. That's where that line is. That's the area that most people get stuck at. But it's not as hard as people think. It is possible to get up through that, and I'll go through that today. The other area we're looking at is the capital ladder. So the thing is when we're in business, the business is there to give us a lifestyle, to give us an income. If we're not actually investing the money in something else to give us capital for the future, then it's basically like a job. It's just we're doing 1 year after the next, after the next. So when we are up to the level of owner, we need to be looking at investing in capital so that then the capital can work for us. So the areas we're looking at here that most people would invest in will be property, shares, or other businesses. And so then by the time you've got the capital ladder up to the level where it can give you an income that's enough to live on, then you don't have to, you could sell the business, or you could retire, or whatever you'd like to do. So I hope that makes sense. Now, I would like everyone to think about what level they're currently at now. And it doesn't matter what level you're at, because we're all on a different journey. And doesn't make any difference, because there's always, you know, the next step to go on in our journey. So look at what level you're at, and what is your goal to go on to what level next. And, you know, again, timing, it's you know, whatever works for you. What's your timing in your life that would be important to you? I mean, I've had a couple that came to me and gave me a year and said, in a year we want to sell this business because we're wanting to invest the capital in something else. Other people, they've said 3 years. Other people, we want to wheel it down to our children and pass it over to them, or put a manager in. Everybody's different. So think about what your goal would be, and where you are at the moment in this cash flow ladder, and where you'd like to get to by when, because that's important, because it bases your actions on that. So if we're looking at this in relation to a business, it also overlaps in relation to a business. So when we're looking at getting from chaos to control, this is where you're in the mastery level. This is when you're just getting the basics. And I'm going to go through that next. What is the mastery? This is like the foundations of your house. This is the area that you are getting all the jigsaw pieces, and getting very clear on what the stable foundation of the business is. The next level here that we go up to is when you're getting predictable cash flow. That's the niche area. That's when you can get some sustainable, predictable cash flow, so that you can make some serious growth plans in your business. Then we can leverage it. And then we need to structure growth. And that's about having a team that can work with us. That's having more time, and then going up to having a finely oiled machine where you might sell it or put it under management. And then the last area here is when you're getting results and you're diversifying, and you might be, you know, acquiring other businesses. You know, often people get businesses by buying other businesses and joining them into their business, which is, you know, an interesting exercise. So as you can see, this overlays the different areas of the cash flow ladder. So as you go up the ladder, you get more time, you get more freedom, you get more cash flow. So then you've got more choices and more time. So as I said, the first area that I wanted to look at was the mastery level. This is the foundations level. Now, most of the people on the call today will be at this level. So I'm going to focus a bit of time on this. Now, have a look at this little scorecard. This is for you. You don't need to show me, that Renee emailed everyone. And give yourself a score out of 10 as we go through each one of these areas. So the first one, this is destination. This is how clear are you on where you want to go in your business. And a lot of you I've met. So, you know, one of the questions I always ask is, you know, what are your goals? What does done look like? Paint me done. You know, paint me the picture of the future of what you would like your business to look like. So, you know, have you got your dreams specified? You know, are they very clear? And then as we go through and have a look, is it the right structure to meet those goals? Have you got adequate protection in place? If you're building a business, do you have, say, if it's with a partner, do you have a buy-sell agreement? You know, do you have a will? Do you have life insurance? That's a really important one. Or income protection, so that if something happens, that you are adequately protected. Are you looking after your health? Because as I mentioned before, you know, your mind is a vehicle to, you know, directing you where you're going, but your body is the way you're going to do that. So how are you looking after your health? That is the key foundations of your business. As it starts, is how you're looking after yourself. I get people that come to me and say, oh, I don't have any energy, and, you know, I don't have any, you know, I'm not very fit, I get tired easy, I get sleepy. And then I start to ask, okay, so how much exercise do you do? None. How much water do you drink? None. How much alcohol do you drink? Too much. How much sleep do you get? Oh, I sit up watching movies all night. So if you're wanting to have this amazing business, and you're the vehicle, you've got to look after it. That's part of mastery. That's part of your foundations of your business, is you, the master of the person who's going to be actually building this. So it's like, imagine if you were building a house and the person who was building the house was a mess. That's not going to be a very, very well put together house. So we need to make sure that we look after our health. Vision and mission of the business, that's the picture of what it looks like at the end. And it really needs to resonate with your why. Why are you in business? What's it all about? And your mission, how you're going to do that. And how aware are you of the actual purpose behind it all. So that's a destination. So I'd like everyone to give themselves a score out of 10 with how clear they are. And as I said, we'll send you a checklist afterwards with some ideas in these different areas of what should be in place. But I want you to look at, even if your score is low, it just shows opportunity. It just shows there's a lot of areas that it might be in that don't know what we don't know. So there's a lot of room for improvement there. So give yourself a score, and then we want to look at this area. So the next area here is the money. How clear are you on how much money that you need to actually live on? How much does the business need to deliver to support your family and your needs? So what is your, I suppose you could say break even, but we need to say break even plus profit, because we need to have profit to be able to invest in the business and to be able to invest in our capital ladder. So are we clear on what our profit and loss is and what our goal is for that? So what our budget is for the future. So one of the things that I do with my clients is always make sure we've got a monthly profit and loss of what does success look like? What are our expenses? What are our wages? What's our target revenue? And what are our key products that we're actually delivering? And be clear on what is the margin in those key products. So that every month we're looking at our budget to actuals, and we know what they are. Are we testing and measuring where we're investing money in? And if you want to improve something, as soon as you start to measure it, you'll generally get an improvement of around 10%, studies have shown, because you're focused on it. So if you're investing money in things like SEO, if you're investing money in team, in hiring people, SEO is search engine optimization, that's for your website to get it up. There's a lot of things that people invest money in, and then I sort of ask them, okay, show me the results. Have you been testing and measuring? And they say no. Well, then it means that you're not really looking after your pennies well enough. And it needs to be made sure that wherever you're investing money, that it's getting you a good return on that investment. Cash flow forecast is another one, is looking at, if we look at the cash flow coming out for the next 3 months, have we got enough cash flow coming in so that we are not in a situation where there's a cash flow pressure on us? Because I've seen businesses where they've forgotten about their BAS, gone and spent the money, and it comes to the BAS time and they're like, oh, we don't have money to pay our BAS, or we don't have money to pay tax. A common one is when people start to get a profit in their business for the first time, the next year they have to pay provisional tax. So that year in their business, which is often year 3, they pay double tax that year. And I often see businesses going under because of that, because it was one of those didn't know that they didn't know. They didn't know that you have to pay tax twice in that year. And it often sends people down, and because they're not allowed for it. No one's told them, and they've not saved up for it. So it really is important to make sure that there's this communication with your accountant or bookkeeper, with being very clear on what is your cash flow forecast and what are your targets going forward for that. So give yourself a score on the money. The main reports that I would say on a monthly basis should be attended to is your budget, actual to budget, what are you doing, your profit and loss, your balance sheet, and your cash flow. They're the main 4 documents I will be looking at as far as money on a monthly basis. And it takes an hour, if that, to just check them out every month to see how am I going? Am I on track to where I thought I'd be? And are there any adjustments? Are there any things that I need to change or adjust? So give yourself a score, and if you've got room for improvement, that is absolutely fantastic. Next one here, time. How are you allocating your time? Are you allocating your time proactively, or are you just putting out bushfires all the time and reacting to everybody else's whim? It's being clear on, are you spending your time on activities that are going to give you a good return on that time? Once we've spent money, we can make money again, but once we've spent our time, we cannot get it back. So some of the strategies that are in the checklist that I'm going to send you, that I would encourage you to do, is do a time audit. See, where am I spending my time? And then once you've ascertained that, see, do I want to change it? And then look at doing a default diary. So having a plan of the perfect week in advance. Now, if you do a default diary, yes, life happens and sometimes we need to move it, but at least that way you've got the big rocks. The big rocks are in there, and so they can be moved around so that you're proactively managing your time. And sometimes, it's a good idea to look at saying, when you do a time audit, what are the things I need to stop doing and what are the things I need to start doing? So that's a 2-week time audit is a good amount of time to look at where you're spending your time. And, I was talking to someone recently, and their billable hours, they're billing out about $185 an hour, and they're doing like really silly, mundane tasks like data entry that they could be paying someone for $20, $25 an hour to do. So spending time on things like that is not a good, it's not a good business decision to do. And leveraging your time like that, getting someone to do something that you'd be much better off doing something else wherever you can, is a huge asset. And I'll go into leverage a little bit further. Pardon me, before we go on, give yourself a score. How are you managing your time? Could you manage it a little bit better? Let's look at saying, how much opportunity have we got to improve our time management? The last area here in the mastery, this is the foundations, is delivery. How is your service being delivered? Have you got it standardized? Have you got systems in place or checklists and processes? I had a client who said that his sales process was absolutely tickety-boo, that everybody knew, how to present a quote, everybody knew the prices, and everybody knew the timing, and it was really, it was very clear. So I decided to do a bit of a mystery shopper audit, and we got 3 different people to contact them for a quote, and it ended up we got 3 quotes, 3 different prices, 3 different templates, and 3 different time spans. One came the same day, one came about 3 days later, and one came about a week later. And this was a business owner who was sure his processes were very, very clear of his sales processes. So we want to make it as seamless as possible for our customers. So we want to make it easy for them to buy. That's the goal. Make it easy to buy and they'll come back. And communicate regularly and survey them regularly to find out, what are they happy about? What are they not happy about? How can we help them more? So again, give yourself a score on delivery, on how you think you're delivering your service to your clients. And have you got feedback from them lately? Have you got standards clarified with your team on how you present your quotes, how you present your invoices, and how you communicate to them? So I'm hoping there's lots of opportunities to improve there as well. So the next area we want to go on is niche. So this is the second area. This is where we're creating more cash flow. So there's a few different ways to look at this. I'll go down the bottom first. So the bottom area here, so we're talking about cash, is the balance sheet. How can you affect the cash in relation to the balance sheet? Well, this is age receivables, age payables, and your inventory. So this is how long you take to get your money in, how long you take to pay your bills, and how long you have your stock sitting on the shelf. So if this doesn't apply to you, if you don't have debtors sitting out there, well, that's absolutely perfect, wonderful. But if you do, this can affect your cash flow. I had a guy once who came to me, had over $300,000 of bills sitting out there of money that people owed him that he wasn't chasing up. And he had way too much stock. So looking at that can be a huge resource of freeing up some cash flow if you had less stock and got your money in quicker. The other area here is where it relates to the cash flow in the profit and loss. So this is, we're looking at how many leads come in, how do we convert them, how many transactions, are they coming back? If they are coming back, what's our average dollar sale for them? And then looking at saying, what's our margin? You know, are we monitoring the margin in the products that we sell? And I had a chap come to me recently doing the business planning workshop, and he was blown away when one of the exercises we were doing was looking at what are your margins in the different products, and he came back and said, I can't believe I've got some products with a lot more margin in than others. You know, what would happen if we just focused on those products? And it was like, you know, a big light bulb had gone off in his head, and you know, that's a basic concept, and it was something that he'd never been presented with before, never thought about before. So being clear on where are the products with the good margins, and what can we do to you know, to emphasize them. So if we're looking at these 5 ways, I'll go through a few little sums here. Some of you might have seen this before. If you haven't, you're in for a treat. If you have, just think where you could improve, because we can all improve. So what we're looking at is saying, if we've got X amount of leads that come in our door and we convert whatever amount of our conversion is, I'm going to go through this, that will give us our number of our customers. How many customers? Now, how many customers we have is just a result. So what we're looking at is what causes that result. Well, what causes it is how many leads we have coming in and how many we convert. And often people say, well, we want more customers, but they're not actually doing anything about leads or training their staff to convert more, to get more customers. They're just wanting the end result. It's just like, I want a 6-pack, but I'm not prepared to go to the gym. Same thing. So then we need to say, all right, we've got X amount of customers, and how many times are they coming back? We want them to come back more. Well, what are our strategies? And then we're saying, what's our average dollar sale? So what, you know, the old line of McDonald's, you know, do you want fries with that? What strategies do we have to get them to increase their average dollar sale, make it easier for them to buy other products from us that they might be getting from somewhere else? And then we times that by our margin. What is the margin? So of $1, a sale for $1, how much do we get to keep? How much goes to stock or service, and how much goes to us? And then the last one here equals our profits at the bottom. So what we're going to do is say, how can we actually work on this? First area I would always work on is margin, because that actually costs nothing. We don't need to spend any more money to focus on how do we look at creating more margin in the products that we're selling. So we could buy better, we could have better packages, we could focus more on products that have higher margin. There's quite a few strategies, and as I said, I'm going to send you a handout with lots of them in. So the second area we'd be looking at is average dollar sale. So these are the sales that we've already got anyway. So if you were, say, might be a gym owner, you might be offering protein shakes with that, because they're going to be buying protein shakes. Well, there might be anyway. Or you might be offering, you know, gym apparel, because they're going to be coming in anyway. So we've got to make it easy for them. The next area here I'd be looking at is conversion rate, because again, we're not spending any more money. We're just working with what we've got, the people who already trust us. So conversion rate is, if we're already getting 100 leads anyway, and say we're converting 30%, it's not going to cost us any more money to convert, say, 50%. So get that extra 20% that we're not now getting. And that could be through better phone contact. It could be better positioning of our quotes. It could be quicker follow-up. It could be, you know, tweaking our scripts when people ring, many ways. But essentially, it's not going to cost us any money. Then the next area here is number of transactions. Again, this is dealing with what we already have. So these are the people that already trust us. So getting them to come back more and more because they trust us. And then the last area, because it costs money, is number of leads I'll be working in. Isn't that funny? When people are thinking of wanting new customers, one of the first things they think of is, oh, we need to get more leads. But there's a lot of work here to be done that is not related to new leads. It's dealing with our existing clients before we're working on new leads. So there's a huge opportunity there. I've seen people's businesses, triple their net profit without ever touching lead generation, because they've just worked on the customers that they've currently got. I've got a case study I just did the other day that exact thing happened. That's happened over the last year. His net profit and gross profit have increased dramatically because we focused on all the other areas except for number of leads. So let's put some numbers into this quickly. As an example, so this is a business over a year or a week or a month. It doesn't make any difference. They're just numbers. If we had 4,000 leads come in the door, and then we looked at saying we're going to convert 25% of them to become customers. So if these now are our customers, they're our 1,000 customers, how many transactions are they coming back? They are coming back twice. So they're coming back twice every month or twice every year, and they're spending $100 for each sale. And that gives us a revenue of $200,000. And then say our margin is 25% of that. That would give us a profit of $50,000. So these are just pretend numbers. But this is where I want people to really, take note of how does this relate in their business, and it has a huge impact. So if we just increase each one of these areas by 10%, look what happens. It's the power of compounding and the power of focus. So if we just worked on our number of leads and got 10% more leads, we'd be getting 4,400 leads now. Then we would be having a conversion rate, just increasing it by 10%, of 27.5% is our new conversion rate. So then instead of giving us 1,100 customers, that now gives us 1,210 customers because of the compounding effect. Then if we ask them to, we put some strategies in to increase it by 10%, we now got 2.2 transactions per customer. And so what happens then, again, we're increasing the average sale by 10%. We're adding, other products with it. We're suggesting, I don't know if anyone's ever bought things on the internet where they go, other people that have bought this have also bought this as well. And, there's lots of ways we can increase the average dollar sale. $110 is now average dollar sale, but look what happens to the revenue now. Revenue is gone up to $292,820, which is huge. That is a huge increase. And all we've done is worked at strategies 10% in each one of those areas. And then the last area here is, again, if we look at increasing our margin just by 10%, then we now have a profit down the bottom here of $80,000. And we've not spent a huge amount of money in lead generation. We've just focused a small amount in all of the areas that are going to give us a result. So just for fun, and this is something just to amplify the strategy, or amplify this whole process, is what happens if we did 100%. And it happens, it happens with many businesses that just go for gold. If we double our leads, so all of a sudden we have some influencers. I remember Flat Tummy Tea. They did this. They did more than doubled it. They got some influencers on Instagram to start posting photos with their products, and boom, it just went off. So if we look at increasing our conversion rate, again, we just decide to double it. We've got some super awesome people that are great at converting, and they're so impressed by the influencers that they just want to buy. So we've not doubled our customers, we've now got 4,000 clients. So from the compounding effect, it's actually times it by 4. Number of transactions, we double them. We now got 4 because we've got some new products that need them to come back more for. And then our average sale, we've got it up to $200. We've just doubled it. As I said, this is just for fun, but I just want people to understand this is what happens with businesses that just explode. What's happened? Revenue's $3.2 million, which is huge. absolutely huge. And that's just through working focused on each area. So then we look at increasing our margin by 50%. And I've done that before in a business when I've gone from being locally supplied to going and importing container loads. You can do that. We used to buy a product here for $100 and we went and imported it and it was like about $12. So it can be done. So what we've got now is a profit of 1.6 million. So it never happens exactly like this because some areas you get a greater growth than others. But I just want people to think about where could they be focusing. And I'm going to, as I said, I'll send you the strategies. Where can they be focusing on areas in their business that will give them a much better bang for their buck? So I want you to now have a look here and give yourself a score on how well your strategies are working with lead generation out of 10, how well your strategies are working with conversion rate. Are you measuring it for 1? If you're not measuring your conversion rate, you need to start measuring it. And this out of 10 is the score that you're giving yourself in the strategies with if they're working and how they're working. Again, number of transactions, you give yourself a score out of 10 for your strategies in how to get them to come back and buy more. If you've got no strategies, well, it's a 0. Average dollar sale, again, do you have any fries to add with that? Do you have anything that you can give them the option to buy more if they want to buy more? And if you've got none, again, it's 0. And profit margin, have you got any strategies there? So give yourself a score out of each one, and then the balance sheet, which is how you're actually receiving your money, paying your money and your stock. Again, do you have any strategies around that, or are they applicable? If you don't have debtors, then, or you might not have stock. I work with service industries that don't have stock. So that area is not applicable if that's the case. So a lot of opportunity there, huge amount of opportunity. So the second last area I wanted to look at, and in the interest of time, I will flick through this, and I'm happy to have a conversation with anyone on the call one-on-one afterwards if I go through this a little bit too quickly. So when we talk about getting our business to be a commercial, profitable enterprise that can work without us, we've talked about cash flow. We've gone through that. So now we know how to increase our cash flow. The next area here is leveraging. How do we leverage so that we know it's being done right? I love this slide. It's absolutely perfect. So we're looking at saying what areas need to have a system and what areas don't, and how am I going to measure it? So if we look here at this line, I've got the areas above the line here that are external to the sale, and the areas that I just went through on the left-hand side here, where it's got lead generation, conversion, all of that. And then we've talked about whether the focus is external or internal. And then we've talked about what's the role, who's the person who's going to be looking after this. So if we're looking at leveraging, these are the areas that they will need to be accountable for. And then internally, we've got the client fulfillment, which is all around their service, the operations, delivering the service. And then the last area here is the business manager, and that's all around the administration and the sales processing. So if we're looking at how to leverage our business, if we want the business to be able to work without us, we need to be knowing who's accountable for each one of these functional areas. And is there a process? Is there a system? Is there a testing and measuring? Is there a checklist that makes us know whether we're there or we're not, how it's actually going? So that when we're in another country and setting up another business, or if we're looking after some of our investments, we know for sure that the people who are running our business are doing it in the way that we want it to be actually done in. So this is just a fantastic representation of each of the areas and each of the roles and what needs to be done to leverage. And if you do an audit of your areas of your business, wherever the biggest cracks are, that's the area to systemize first, because, pardon me, my voice is getting cracky, then you'll get the best results quickest. So then we need to look at this last area here, which is our team. So we really want to make each person the profit center of our business. And, you know, when we talk about, you know, having raving fans, the biggest raving fan should be the people you work with, because they know who you are, they know what you're about, they know how much you love what you do, and they know how passionate you are about what you do. So we really want to make sure that everyone that is involved in our business loves it as much as we do. We really need them to feel it in their heart as well as we feel it in the heart. And the lady that we had run our business when we went away, when I was sick for a year, she loved the business like it was her own. She treated it just like her own and loved it and treated it that way. And that's how we want everybody to be. So Deloitte tells us that businesses that are heart focused are 8 times more successful. 8 times. So what does heart focused mean? It means that people are fully engaged in what they're doing. So if this was your business, or if this is any business, but this is actually the whole statistics of the Australian workforce, if this was a rowing boat, we've got 20% of the Australian workforce are highly disengaged. They're actually throwing the anchors down. They're actually trying to sink the boat. And then we've got 56% of them are disengaged. They're just sitting there and coasting. And then we've got 26% are highly engaged. They're pushing the boat forward. So these are pretty low statistics, but this is the Australian workforce today. So what we want to do is make sure that the people that are working with us are fully engaged, that they're the top people, that they're not the people trying to sabotage or just sit there doing nothing. So how do we actually do that? Well, if we're looking at the cylinders of performance, and what the difference is if we're looking here at a manager is all about the mind and the body. A manager is all about the processes, is all about the systems, is all about getting things done, the operations. But a leader is all about the heart and the spirit. That's all about motivating people. It's all about the culture. It's all about getting clear on, what are the goals of the business? What's the why? What's their why? And getting their values aligned with your business's values so that they're the same. So these are the 16 cylinders of performance. So we need to be focusing as a leader in the heart and the spirit. And it's I suppose the thing is no one's going to follow through with the system if they're not engaged in their heart. So it's really important to be a leader, not just a manager. And, I have people coming to me and saying, oh, they're all idiots. I have to treat them that way. Well, if you're treating them like idiots, they're not going to be invested in their heart. So they've done studies on what motivates people. When we asked managers what were the top 10 things that motivated people, this is what they came up with. They all said one was money. But then when we did the same survey with employees, money was way down. Money was number 6. And when people leave, they say it's about money, but it never really is. They just don't want to hurt you. So these are the things, and these are all the heart things. These are all the leadership things. Being interested, being involved in decision making, having feedback, being respected, doing training. These are all the things that get their heart engaged, and these are all the things that fuel their motivation to follow through with the processes so that they do the checkbox, that they do the script that you've asked them to do, so that they do pack the product how you want to pack it or deliver the service how you want it delivered. But they will follow if they have their heart fully engaged in what they're doing. So very interesting research, and that was done on thousands and thousands of people, and it's been done many times, and it always comes up the same. So don't believe it when they say it's all about money. So in essence, really, if I had to, and I picked this one slide that overarched everything I've gone through today, and I've gone through a lot in a very short time, is if we're very clear on our dreams and we're very clear on our vision of where we're going, then that will help us to identify what our goals are. And then once we've identified our goals, then we'll be able to go down to the next step and say, well, what's some plans on how am I going to actually achieve this? And what are the actions that I need to do? And put those actions in your diary. And if you follow through with that, you will get success. And this is the formula of success. But if you have a gap in any one of these, either the actions, the plans, the clarity of goals, or you have no dream or vision, it will be so much harder to actually achieve success. So I hope that makes sense. And I love that formula. And it's interesting to look at, how if you just work in a little bit in each of these areas, it really increases your chances of success dramatically. So we have got 10 minutes left for questions. So I hope that that wasn't too quick for everyone. So I'm just going to see if I can unmute everybody, and then we can get some questions. Okay, I'm going to unmute all, if I can unmute everyone, and then I will hopefully get some questions. Who would like to go first? Brett, I can see your name up there.
Hi, how you doing?
Or is it Hannah?
Both of us. Yeah.
Okay. Questions?
Yeah. Oh, actually, I was just going to ask. Did you have the slide? Did you say you have the slides which you could?
Yeah, I can share the slides. Absolutely.
That would be amazing. Just because I was keeping notes, but also I didn't manage to get everything down. But you know,
fine.
That would be amazing if you could. Because I was just looking for,
absolutely.
On the leverage. No, that was amazing. Yeah, perfect, made sense. It's just.
And so, do you have any burning questions to ask?
I don't at the moment.
No, okay. We've got other questions coming through. Okay, I think there was a question there. Was it Victoria?
Oh, sorry. No, I wasn't asking a question. That was my 2-year-old sleep talking on the monitor.
All right, don't worry. We have one of them at home.
But I did email you a question, so I don't know whether that's relevant now.
Yes, I got the question,
yeah.
and I tried to make sure that it was answered as best I could. Did I answer the question? Victoria was the one who asked the question about, you know, when you're not in the business, how do you keep that? And I think it's by everybody being very clear on the goals and where they're going and the why, and making sure that everything is in place to look after that team and to make sure they all follow through.
Okay. Well, that would be relevant if I had a team, but I don't. So, and I know that sounds like an odd thing, but it was more of a, the company will be sort of relatively dormant in terms of the activity because it's a service. I'm a counsellor. I can't be there when I can't be there. And I haven't got to that stage of building it up to have staff yet. So it was more about, whilst I take this time out, is there anything I can do to keep the business live without it actually being sort of active, which
sorry,
is
I totally got the wrong context. I would say my suggestion would probably be to have as much presence in front of your target market as you can. So in giving regular, it might be videos, it might be podcasts, it might be articles in LinkedIn. Just keep your presence out there and grow your credibility with your target market in your area, so that when you do press the button, and being authentic and honest about you having time off to have a baby is fine. And then when you're ready to press the go button again, you've got everyone is just raring to go.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
That would be my recommendation, definitely. Now, I think, did you have a question there? I saw you teetering there. Did you have a question there, Esme? No, I can't see whether she's there or not. Any other questions? How did everyone score on your self-assessment? What was you're unmuted at the moment, Brett and Hannah. What was your biggest area of focus that you want to focus on first?
Well, I think to be honest with you, I think time is probably one which we need to really work on. They were all relatively low scoring, so we've got but we've got improvement to be made anyway, which is a good thing. And our destination probably was the highest scoring.
Yes.
But we have definitely got I know we've got work to do in all areas. Yeah, but I would say time is a huge one to work on. I really like the idea of doing a 2-week audit on just
yes, where you're actually spending your time. Yep, perfect.
Yeah, next couple of weeks, 100%. We'll definitely have to do that.
Great. And what was your number one takeaway from today?
I really like those hearing about them. I do believe that about the sort of, you know, the heart sort of focused businesses being 8 times more successful, and also looking at the motivation for the employees. We're not actually at that stage yet where we have obviously employing other people, but it's lovely to have that structure, sort of knowing what would keep people keen.
Which makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and I
Absolutely.
think that's a huge thing, because you do want anyone who's working with you to be fully engaged in what you're doing, especially as what we're trying to do with everyone. So I found that was really good.
Thank you. Great. And has anyone got any other takeaways that they would like to share, or any questions? I think Deanna, you're unmuted there. Did you have any takeaways or you wanted to share, or any questions?
I've sort of got a question, but I'm not sure that there's a great answer for it, because we are the people in our business who are delivering the service. So I just don't see how we can step outside that management or owner role, like to get above that line. And I guess we have in the past where we have employed people to deliver our services, but I don't know. I think the fact that our service is a really personal one is one of the advantages or positives in our business. So I think we're sort of stuck in that role.
Yeah, and you know that is so common. Like that is like 90% of business owners, because that's why we started the businesses, because we were good at what we were doing, and that is just so common. That is the most common challenge that people have, because they love what they do, and that's why people have employed them. And so it's a very real challenge, and that's why there's that line there, and that's why it's hard for people to break through. What I've seen people do, what I've helped people do over the years of, a decade of coaching, is first of all, when we had that slide with all the functions of the business owner, the first step really, and I've got a business that we're at that stage at the moment where we've just popped him up to that next level, is get out of everything that's not operations. So we've got to work out what's the formula of the business, of how can we be profitable. So what does the revenue need to be on the top line? How do we be profitable if we only do operations, because people are buying us for our personal service? So that means that the invoicing, the quoting, the marketing, the administration, everything's done by somebody else except for the operations. So you're the head chef that turns up on the day, and nothing else is done by you. So then I get a lot of people to that stage, and then the next level then is to train somebody else up that's as good as you, and then start to co-work with them, and then slowly then they then become another service, another offering, where if they want to have her, they've got the creme de la creme at $1,000 minimum for the night, but you can have his specially trained expertise at this level. And so what happens, and I had a client who was exactly this with IT. I've had actually 2 that I've done it with IT, that they could never let their hands go from it. But now we've got them out of that. Now we've trained up people that are just as good as them.
Yeah.
So it's the case
We've done that before, and it's about finding the sweet spot, I think, in your business as well, because
and training them.
Bigger isn't always better.
Yeah, exactly. And training them that they're at exactly the same high standard as you actually, want to deliver. And so that they're going to do it to the standard that you want to do it, and that you've got a model that is making it still profitable, so that you can actually step out and have the business run and it be profitable without you in operations. So it can be done, and it's a strategic move, but it needs to be done with a lot of care in the heart of the people that you're handing your business over to, because it's your baby.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Hi, Suzzanne, it's Herb.
Hi. Did that make sense?
Yeah, it did. I think we're on different pages, Deanna and I, because I'm quite comfortable in the business and the operational side of it, where I prep and obviously deliver the food for functions. And I suppose in the last 3 months, we've downsized our business to where we're just catering. So I've got so much time to actually do it, and we make quite good margins, but I think our problem is just getting new leads and getting So yeah, we've definitely got the time, and everything's set, and we've got good casual staff that can help and actually can do jobs on our behalf as well.
Perfect.
It was actually quite interesting. We scored pretty well in the mastery section, I would say, especially in destination and delivery.
Good.
But yeah, the niche section is definitely where we need to.
Good. So that's perfect, because it means that you've got that nice and solid, and you can work on that area.
Yeah,
we're excited.
Perfect. Thank you for everybody to be on the call. I really appreciate everyone's feedback, and I've loved sharing it, and I hope it wasn't too quick for everybody. And I will get Renee to email everyone the handouts with the strategies, and hopefully that will help. And I'm happy to talk to anyone outside of this if anyone wants any more help. Thank you.
Thanks, Suzzanne.
Thank you.
See you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Dan.
Yeah,
Sorry, can I just ask? I had just one quick question.
you can ask away.
Quickly, I think of. I just missed when you were going through the 5 ways to improve your profits.
Yeah.
With the one, when you said margin, how did you say? Sorry, this is really stupid. What did you say was the way to improve your? I'm gonna send you out our list with that, but there's lots of different ways to increase margin. But I'll send you a huge list, and you can have a look through it. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, and I can talk to you about it next week anyway. But yeah, I'll send you a list out to have a look at beforehand anyway.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you. See ya. Bye. Bye.